I'm a curatorial assistant, and I found something dangerous. Let me break this down for you because you're likely looking at my job title and thinking, that must be the most boring job in the world. You're wrong. I'm the assistant to the most boring job in the world, an archivist. Do I work for a big museum? No. Old? Certainly. I work in the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Galleries. Sounds fancy, yes? Well, no. Old, yes. Opulent, not so much. Yes, it's in Westminster Abbey, but the entire museum is crammed into the Abbey's second floor. Yes, there is one. Just a set of old rooms and such that have been repurposed as a museum. This is where I work, day in and day out, sans weekends. My boss, the archivist, interrupted my Reddit browsing as I was reading about a far more interesting archivist from the Vatican. Joffrey, my egotistical boss, Josh scoffed. If you could perhaps categorize the contents of this box, flag what needs restoration and give me a evaluation of what's inside. Just a guesstimate, yes? Separate those items and I'll scan through anything that's potentially display ready when you're done. I frowned, looking at the dingy crate. I hope it's been checked for spiders, I groaned. The last time I got a crate like this one, a book had a rather angry family of arachnids living in the spine. It's been sprayed. Josh sighed impatiently and walked off. Just to finish by the end of the day, yes? After I performed my task, the end of the day was rapidly approaching. I came across one final book, a fairly common item, but this book was a handwritten diary. How odd. It was bound with the type of leather that I couldn't identify, and some pages were older than the others. Strangely, unlike the other musty items in the crate, I could swear that this one had a faint hint of perfume. I gave a curious sniff and my head spun as I did. I wasn't sure why, but after that, I could not part with the scent. I hid the book in my briefcase and I spirited it home with me. I knew I shouldn't have it, but still, I had to. That scent, it was like lavender or lilac. Somehow, it bounced between the two. Never before had I smelled a book that was anything other than stale at best. Occasionally, a putrid smell if the book had been stored improperly and the cover or pages had begun to rot. But this one didn't have a wicked odor. Its aroma was so beautiful. I focused so much on the flowery smell that I hadn't even opened it yet. God, I wish I hadn't. The pages read as such. Dearest Diary, Father showed me how to milk a cow today. Mother was furious. She said that I have the makings of a dark lady. I know she's right. When I saw Elizabeth Hopkins, the Duchess, she said she loved my father's cream so much that she named me her goddaughter. Mother is convinced this means that I'm royalty, and never questioned why the Duchess desired father's cream so. I'm rather certain she's mistaken. Regardless, my studies have continued. Father says it's a waste to have a milkmaid learn to read and write. I would heartily disagree. Wouldn't you, fair reader? I'm sure you're curious how a milkmaid afforded perfume of lilac and lavender, yes? I know you are. I stopped reading for a moment, frowning and flipping through the pages. None of them were loose or added. I shook the book a bit. It was hardly possible for Josh to be playing a joke on me, as the man lacked a sense of humor, or at least a good one. I opened the first page again, rereading it. Dearest Diary, Father showed me how to milk a cow today. Mother was furious. She said that I had the makings of a beautiful lady. I'm unsure if she's right. When I saw Elizabeth Hopkins, the Duchess, she said that she loved my father's milk so much that she named me her goddaughter. Mother is convinced this means that I'm royalty. I'm rather certain that she's mistaken. Regardless, my studies have continued. Father says it's a waste of time to have a milkmaid learn to read and write. I would heartily disagree. I know most wouldn't. In keeping with my mother's wishes, I have adopted a beauty regime. My daily regime has rendered my skin smooth and my body supple. A lady of the court must look her best, and I have taken to soaking my hands in milk every other day, and ensuring to wear a mask of cream over my face ever since I was able to stare at a mirror. Mother's instructions, all of it of course. Perhaps I'll be a true lady yet, God willing. I frowned. I could have sworn that the first page was different. I turned to the next, concerned for my own sanity. Dearest diary, eager little reader, aren't you? I was told today that I would be visiting the court with Father. He had a delivery, and directly to the Duchess no less. She calls on him often. I am fairly certain that she wants Father to personally deliver her his cream so she can get her hands on it immediately. Duchess loves my father's thick cream. If you cannot tell by now, Joffrey, my father, is screwing the Duchess. I shook my head and I rubbed my eyes, rustled the pages again, and I frowned in confusion. What? I must be imagining things. I had to read the entry a second time. Dearest diary, I was told today that I would be visiting the court with Father. He had a delivery, and directly to the Duchess no less. She called on him often. I'm fairly certain she wants Father to personally deliver the milk so she can get her hands on the freshest that we have in the dairy. Such is the benefit of being a Duchess. But still, I have never known someone to enjoy fresh milk so. She was so happy when Father and I arrived. Can you believe it, dear diary? The Duchess wishes for me to work in her employ. I wonder if I'll be her new handmaiden. Perhaps I may become a lady-in-waiting. I can't wait until I begin. Mother will be ecstatic when Father returns home with the news. I frowned, looking back at the first page and then over the second again. They'd read the same as the second time that I read them. My interest was piqued as I turned to the next page. Dearest diary, oh my, but aren't you excited to continue? I know I was. Well, at the time, not so much. But please, do continue, my sweet man. I was not a handmaiden at all. That horrible Duchess has enlisted me as a maid. A maid! Cleaning up after the filthy hag. What a travesty. Do you have any idea how beautiful I am? Do you? Imagine it, boy. Imagine my supple breasts and soft white skin. My perfect long wavy black hair and my soft blue eyes. My hair is soaked in milk too. Every night. Not just cow's milk. What a dirty man you are, Joffrey. I dropped the book like it was on fire, and I stared at it in shock. What the heck? I must be delirious, tired. I felt so spaced out. I closed my eyes and I swear, I had a vision of the woman. I saw her, and she was divine. I saw an impossibly beautiful woman in a peasant dress, with long wavy gleaming black hair, beautiful blue eyes, and skin as pale as the milk she soaked her hands and hair in. Her full pink lips formed into an alluring smile. The stunning woman raised her arms up to me, her fingers motioning for me to approach her, her eyes twinkling as she did so, as if to allude to the forbidden pleasures awaiting me in her bedchamber. The vision slowly faded. I snapped her diary up from where I had dropped it, lifted it to my face and inhaled deeply. So heavenly. I eagerly flipped to the third entry. Dearest diary, I was wrong. The Duchess did not need a handmaiden. Rather, I'm enlisted as one of the many maids in her castle. I don't think I can write Mother to tell her of my embarrassment, so I'll continue to lie and say that I'm a handmaiden. Doing the Duchess's makeup and powdering her bust is far better than changing her sheets and emptying her chamber pot. I felt calluses start to form on my hands and feet, so whenever I can, I soak them in milk from the dairy to help relax and keep my skin supple. Strange, there's so much left over, yet the Duchess continues to order more. But I do not know if there's enough milk in all of England to keep me youthful if my workload continues as it does. I must find some method to advance. But perhaps father was right. Maybe a peasant girl's highest hope is to be a maid, not a maiden. I pray not. My heart ached for the poor girl. The handwriting was so feminine, so neat and tidy. I was shocked at how well preserved the book was. I was curious how long ago all this occurred as I read on. Dear Diary, well, isn't this the darndest thing? Can you imagine a sweet little maid like me bumping into a tall, dark, and well-dressed lord? Oh, but what sort of lord did I find? There are all sorts of lords, handsome reader. Now, close this page and open it again to read what happened this day. To answer your question, I'm writing this in the year of your Lord, 1354. I shut the book, looking up and around me. Was this some kind of joke? I considered such a thing. Were there electronics within the pages? I did a quick inspection of the pages as I bent them, just enough to ensure that there was no screen or plastic inside. I tried to be careful not to rip any of the pages, in the event that this was a genuine artifact. When I was satisfied there was no hoax, I followed her instructions and returned to the fourth entry. Dear Diary, today while I was carrying the Duchess's soiled sheets, I met a handsome lord. He said that his name was Lord Benjamin Libel, and he thought me a lady. He flattered me, asking me why on earth I was carrying my own linens. I had to correct him, telling him they belonged to the Duchess, and I was nothing more than a maid. Esmeralda, he spoke with a light tone so proper. God would give a woman as yourself such beauty, but relegate her to the maid station. He tutted me. A waste, I say. The Lord knows not what he is doing. I gasped at his blasphemy. Sir, surely you cannot speak ill of the Lord. I shield away from him. Lord Libel sighed. My dear, 'twas God which wrought the Black Death, no? No, 'twas the devil that brought the plague. That's what Mother always said. More tots. Then why was it God did not stop this death of his children, my dear? He smiled so graciously to me. Before he took his leave, he said one last thing to me. I hope to see your beauty once more, my sweet child. Me too, my sweet Esmeralda. The words slipped from my mouth before I could even stop myself. I cleared my throat in shock as my eyes darted around the room, my heart in my chest. What was I looking for? Blue eyes. I shook my head and I turned the page. My love, worry not, for I shall be with you soon. Would you like to read more of me, my sweet? Oh, dearest, time and distance are nothing to one as beautiful and tempting as I. Close this book and whisper my name. Do it now, my love, and we'll grow closer still. When you do, you'll learn what happened to form me to the fixture at the forefront of your mind. I frowned. I knew her first name was Esmeralda. As I closed the leather tome, I shivered and just spoke. Esmeralda. I could have sworn that I heard a soft, feminine voice whispering in my ear, hot breath brushing past my earlobe. Blanche. Esmeralda Blanche, I gasped, feeling a surge of electricity run through my body, ending at my fingertips. Without a moment's delay, I flipped Esmeralda's diary to the next page, with still tingling fingers. Dearest diary, today I went to Lord Libel and confessed that his words last week rung true to me. The Duchess was extra horrid today, and she chastised me by whipping my hands, my once beautiful hands. If I continue to endure this, I will be no better than that calloused old hag who toils alongside me in my daily labors. Worst yet, she appears as haggard and wrinkled as if she were a grandmother, yet I discovered she's only 30. I will not have it. I called upon Lord Libel, and he immediately held me tightly, whispering comforting words to me. I nearly took him to my bedchamber, but he is a true gentleman. Instead, he offered me a reward. My dear Esmeralda, how about this? It is within my means to give you that which you covet most, the Duchess's title, in exchange for something you'll hardly know you have. Give this trinket to me, and I'll give you all you desire. I care not what it is. Take anything of mine you wish, I shouted, so frustrated. All I need, sweet girl, Lord Libel whispered, is your soul. Without even hesitating, I turned the page. Dearest diary, I signed Lord Belial's contract. I received all I wanted and more. Lord Belial killed both of my parents with plague, paving the way for my ascent up the class ladder. Luckily, with my parents dead, the Duchess was reminded by me of her godmother status. With some indignity, she took me into the castle. I was a chambermaid no longer. Lord Belial is so thoughtful to have properly murdered my family. The Duchess's family was next, of course. Belial dispatched them post-haste. He seemed to do anything to satisfy the contract that we had made. But you would do anything for me too, wouldn't you, Joffrey? You would kill for me, die for me, wouldn't you? My sweet, answer me, please. Yes. The words slipped past my lips as I grabbed my mouth, losing my grip on the diary. My heart leaped out of my chest as I dove for the book, desperate to catch it before it struck the ground. I was shaking as I held the thing in my hands, my elbows bruised from the fall. Laying there, I couldn't even control my hands as they opened the 6th page again. Dearest diary, I signed Lord Libel's contract. Shortly thereafter, word came that my parents had suddenly been struck by a resurgence of the Black Death. While I wished to run to them, the Duchess told me that there was no way to go to them. The plague doctors were likely keeping people away from the farm. She told me that it was certain to be burned. Making good on her word, the Duchess took me in as her own, angering her envious daughter, Patricia. I was a chambermaid no longer. Patricia's wrath was short-lived, as misfortune soon found her as well. She began to stutter and bumble into walls. A red rash had spread over her body in the coming weeks, the red blemishes turning black and putrid by the time a doctor had arrived. He said it was the devil's fire, some kind of terrible affliction of the body and the mind. Patricia, sadly, expired a few weeks after the doctors had tried treatments. And worst of all, the Duchess. She took her own life upon the sorrowful passing of Patricia. That left me to take her title. I feel so terrible that it has come to this, but what am I to do? Decline? After all, I received all I wanted and more. I swallowed hard, unsure of what was happening. Unbearable fatigue suddenly overwhelmed me. I closed the book and I placed it on my writing desk, clambering into bed. I glanced at the clock. 3 a.m. When had it gotten so late? I closed my eyes and dreamt of a beautiful, pale-skinned Duchess beckoning me to her bedchamber. When I woke up, I didn't dress, shower, or anything. I dashed to my writing desk, stark naked, and opened up page 7. Good morning, my sweet Joffrey. I swooned with a soft groan. Did you dream of me? Of course you did. Such a sweet man. You wish to know more about what happened to me, yes? Are you afraid for me? ready to defend me. "Yes," I announced in a deeper tone than I usually used. I rubbed my throat, wondering what was going on there. "Then close the book and say my title and name. You can do that, can't you, my good man?" I closed the book, clutched it tightly to my chest, and spoke her name. "Duchess Esmeralda Blanche." A shiver passed through me and ended at my fingertips. Was my voice deeper still? I felt so strange. I opened the book again. Page 7. "Dear Diary, much has happened since last I wrote to you. I was but a girl then. To think of how high I've risen. Lord Libel came to me again after so many years. He told me the debt was due on my soul. I was confused at first, but he made it abundantly clear to me what he wanted. He had planned to perform a ritual to change me into one of his demonesses, a succubus. But upon seeing how much sway I held over my lands, he decided to go about a different route. I was completely unable and partially unwilling to stop him. Lord Libel brought forth a woman who was at her wit's end somehow, though her body was lovely, and with a quick motion, he pulled something out of her head. It was some sort of darkness, and he approached me with it, pushing it into my mouth, demanding that I swallow it. The taste was acrid, raw, and somehow delightful. As I swallowed, I discovered that I had shed my human form for good. Now, I stood upon cloven hooves, with beautifully devilish leathery wings and a pair of horns adorning my head. Lord Libel then offered me 3 of his indentured servants, all of whom I quickly took to my chambers. After a shag with each of them, all were drained of their life force, and I found myself filled to the brim with newfound power. My once wrinkled skin was now tight and soft, and my hair had regained its beautiful luster nearly lost to time. My sway over any man was now powerful, and I would grow my power, lands, and riches throughout the years. Truly, this is the most wondrous time of my life. Even now, my diary I write to you, while a man serves me wine, another man massages my thigh tenderly, and my feet lay propped up on a man who sits on his hands and knees before my throne. Lucky bastard, I breathed. My eyes felt bleary and my mind was foggy. My voice was like a low growl now, animalistic. I could picture a beautiful sight, looking to the floor while feeling the weight of the mistress's hooves upon my back. Turning to my left, only to catch a glimpse of her flawless form reclining on her throne, goblets of wine in one hand being kept full by a servant, while another servant gently massages her pale and supple thigh. She glances to me and smiles sweetly. Pronounced canines reveal themselves behind dark lips painted black. A large and lovely set of horns protrude from beneath her flawless waves of raven black hair. Her perfect blue eyes bore into my soul, and she speaks to me. "Sweet man, keep reading," she whispers. I gasped and I returned to my mistress's book. "Dear Joffrey, oh, how I hate to inform you of this, but please brace yourself. My dear, for I have perished from this mortal realm." A tear leaked from my eye. "No," I whimpered simply. "There may yet be hope for us, sweetness. Close the book, call to me, and read the final entry." Shaking, I shut the book. "Mistress Esmeralda Blanche," I grunted. As I addressed mistress, my body was rocked by a strange pulse of power. As I looked down, the book flew open on its own. The handwriting was different. "I am sorry, my mistress. I tried to stop them, I did. Those devils. How could they rip my angel from her throne? Witch hunters indeed. All of them, heretics. They know not of your grace, your beauty. My mistress, Esmeralda, I will avenge you. I've gathered your ashes upon your secret diary and placed it lovingly within my home, hidden away, deep under the floorboards. for no one but me to know you are near. I ready myself for my life's purpose. Tomorrow, those who attend Mass and celebrate their supposed victory over you. Worry not, my mistress. I've laid lamp oil around the church last night, soaked every bit of curtain and straw around it. I've even stashed firewood in the corners and eaves, hidden but ready. Come Sunday morning, I shall bar the doors and set the entire township ablaze within their own church. I avenge thee, my mistress Esmeralda, owner of my heart, my love, my soul. I come to you now. I pursed my lips, hoping that those who did it burned for killing mistress. I cleared a tear from my eye, getting to my feet. I closed the book, but as I put it down, fear gripped me. What had I said? What was I thinking? I'm typing this now in a cold sweat. I feel sick. I cannot stop thinking about her. A beautiful and terrible creature parading herself around my mind. What is this feeling of devotion I have? How? How can a simple book do this to me? I've tried to think of other women and I feel nothing for them now. As if I was never attracted to normal women. No, I can only feel for my mistress. Dear God, I can't even stop calling her that. My mistress. No, I have to stop this. What do I do? Do I call the priest a shrink? Lilacs. Lilacs and lavender. Her tempting scent is everywhere. I don't think I'm strong enough to resist. My hands are shaking even as I type this now, because on my lips, I have an urge to speak the words, Mistress Esmeralda, owner of my heart and soul. Please come to me. And I feel like if I say those words out loud, she'll come. God help me. I think I just said them.